Rebuilding bricks and mortar is very simple in terms of the engineering aspects. However, rebuilding the trust requires a systemic behavior. And how do we get to that rebuilding of the trust? So that's what leads us to blockchain technology that we are talking about in this particular session today. And what does this blockchain technology talks about? What's the capabilities? The previous presentation has given us an insight into what blockchain technology is, so I would not dwell much about it on blockchain technology. You see in the presentation earlier that a blockchain is a shared tamper event ledger maintained through distributed consensus. So in essence, you have a lot of participants making contribution to one singular system. And the only way the system is trusted is because you have distributed consensus. There are various approaches to achieving this consensus on blockchain, depending on the type of blockchain that is adopted. We have the public blockchain, the private blockchain, the hybrid, and also the consortium. So, however, depending on how we are setting it up or depending on the project we are adopting it for, there's a particular approach to reach consensus. Some will call it the proof of stake, the proof of work, the proof of authority, depending on the participants you have on the system. So as long as you have 50% approval or 51% approval among the participants within that blockchain framework, that particular information or that particular transaction becomes accepted on the chain. And then it becomes tamper-proof within that transaction length. So that ledger continues to run as long as you keep the system in place. And basically for the construction industry where we have large infrastructure projects, there are 4 attributes which then makes blockchain technology unique and specifically adaptable to the industry. The first one is the immutability, because once you have a record committed to the platform, authoring it will require network consensus again. Usually, authoring it will not necessarily be the way to go. It's updating it specifically. Then also we have the attribute of transparencies, where authorized parties then view same single source of truth at every point in time within the platform. Then also we have the programmability, where you can incorporate smart contracts which then automates the execution of agreed rules. So you don't necessarily have to rely on a particular individual to make the necessary approvals on this particular platform. And lastly, we have the opportunity to tokenize assets of value or entitlements within this blockchain platform. So this then gives people opportunity to own assets physically, but tamper-proofed on a platform where nobody can alter or take it away from you. So in essence, what we talk about in blockchain technology, just to go away from the technicality, is it creates tamper-proof of information on daily basis, or at every point in time there's a transaction a particular transaction is initiated on the platform, and everybody within the system is able to agree or make necessary approvals depending on how the setup is made. So now, what blockchain technology is not? In reality, it's not a silver bullet. It's not a magic wand that solves all the problems we have in the construction industry. So let's not think blockchain technology is the savior. It's not going to solve everything at once. However, if we incorporate blockchain technology with other technologies, depending on the platform we are intending to bring it into, we are then able to solve individual problems depending on how we approach them. So, for instance, we can have BIM incorporated with blockchain, like the first presentation has indicated to us. We can have IoT sensors, among other digital technologies, and also put in place robust Lego frameworks, which this last presentation will also talk about, so that we have a better understanding of how this process works. And then what that gives us is we then know who did what on this platform, when it was done, and lastly, under which condition was it done. so that at every point in time, we can trace every information or every transaction to a particular person or a particular activity on that project. So at the end of the day, what we then have is a system where you don't have a particular gatekeeper. You don't have a professional that you need to bribe before he approves your payment. You don't have a particular quantity surveyor that needs to say, yes, you have done 50 meter cube, but I am only going to approve 25 meter cube because you have not given me something. So this is what a blockchain technology brings to the construction industry platform for us to then have an understanding of how we continue to maintain trust among the professionals involved. I have a video here to explain the BIM aspect. However, the previous presentation has done that, so I will not be dwelling on that. I also have a video here that talks about the procurement aspect. Okay, so maybe we can just have a look at this. So in essence, you can also use blockchain in various platforms. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You have different aspects of the construction process that you incorporate the blockchain platform into, which then assists with solving that problem. So a typical example is when we look at the procurement process, where you bring in blockchain technology such that you have a particular person who wants to build a particular property, for instance. So this person prepares a tender document, input all the necessary specifications, content about that project, and incorporates it to the blockchain platform through a particular hash details, which goes into the blockchain platform. And then individuals from their own sides who have all the necessary qualifications, all the necessary contract documents to put in a bid for that project, create their own tender to submit for that project, and then a record is imported into the blockchain platform as well, so that everybody have their own document prepared, simultaneously submitted into the platform. And then the client is able to take all this information without altering what individuals have done at one given point in time, because you have a smart contract that has been programmed into the system, identify which of the tenders match all the necessary requirements, and this is then approved as the perfect fit for that particular project. So this eliminates all the third parties or people you need to settle with a particular amount of money. And the reality is, because it's on a blockchain platform, there is transparency such that other partners within that particular tender process are able to see how that particular contractor was appointed for the project. So it then helps us to eliminate all the deadlines where we say this tender is closing in 3 weeks, we've submitted the tender, and you expect a response in 90 days, but then you receive a communication that you need to extend further for another 30 days because they are still trying to do the adjudication of the tender. So all of this eliminates the third party or the gatekeepers, so to speak, and allows individuals to work and get the value for what they are putting into the system. So looking at the South African airways as we have it currently, there are silver linings, because in reality, we have, for instance, the PPP reform package that was approved in June 2025, which then proposes an amended guideline for digital procurement with digital ledger or distributed ledger processes that will be piloted within the next 3 years in South Africa. Also, we have the Project Coca, which the South African Reserve Bank's wholesale CBDC are putting up for trials now, which then allows people to buy assets that are tokenized on blockchain platforms. So in reality, we are sitting in a particular era where the South African industry is attaining maturity towards the adoption of blockchain technology, and the construction industry needs to then position itself in a situation whereby we are also able to tap into this and be able to take it forward for our construction processes. So the way forward, I've mentioned that we need to adopt a DLT-ready procurement policy, which embeds on-chain reporting clauses such that production is incorporated into all that we do within the industry. Then also we need to focus on short cycle, high volume payment processes. If we have projects that are, for example, the routine maintenance works that we do on road projects, we already understand that this maintenance should be carried out maybe at 6-month intervals. So we can use this as templates to pilot blockchain adoption and see how it works over a period of time before we start bringing it to bigger projects. Then also, while not leaving out the professionals, because in reality, people would say, yes, when we bring in technology, we automatically take people out of job. In reality, what we have with blockchain technology is you then need professionals to upskill to be able to become practitioners within this blockchain platform. So in essence, we need to develop micro-credential programs for professionals and stakeholders covering how to use DLT platforms, incorporating data ethics, and also smart contract authoring, amongst others. So in conclusion, government departments need to make infrastructure data born blockchain rather than retrofitting. So we are not planning to bring blockchain as an aftermath. It has to be what we plan alongside the implementation of such projects. So when we are planning our tendering process, we are planning it alongside the incorporation of blockchain technology. Then also contractors and consultants need to champion open standard pilots. We need to move away from people shying away from using technology. Whether we like it or not, in 5-10 years time, we'll start seeing this technology being mainstream in our day-to-day activities. So it's now the time for us, as professionals in the industry, to take responsibility into incorporating this technology. Then also financiers need to explore tokenized infrastructure bonds, an example of what the South African Reserve Bank is doing. And lastly, as academics that we have in the house today, we need to start measuring pilot outcomes. We need to do reports showing the progress being made with these platforms, because in reality, this is what the policymakers want. This is what informs their decision-making process when formulating a particular policy. So if there are no reports documenting how successful these pilot projects are, then it's difficult for policymakers to make policies informing their decisions. Food for thought. According to late Prof. Clayton Christensen, he mentioned that disruption is a process, not an event. So I am saying transformation is also a process, not an event. Just as you build your building brick by brick, this is how we also build trust. So in the industry today, for us to be able to achieve something tangible, we need to start small. Like I mentioned, we need to look at small projects, routine maintenance works, starts with this and gradually encourage people to incorporate blockchain. And also we need to keep at the back of our mind that blockchain alone cannot lay a brick. It cannot pour a cubic meter of concrete or erect a building span. You need human beings to do that. So the technology is not taking away your work. However, blockchain can ensure that every brick laid is paid for on time. Every cubic meter poured for your concrete meets the required specification, and every bridge span that you maintain is logged in accurately, so that individuals that need to come in next time for maintenance understands what you have done at this particular time. Thank you very much for your listening.
I'm starting to feel. Then you say kwa, then we'll see. Thank you very much, Prof. If you can stand there for a picture moment.
the presentation.